Welcome back, everyone. We're continuing our deep dive into this amazing blog that explores 80s cartoons. But this time, we're taking a more philosophical approach.
Yeah, it's really fascinating stuff.
It really is. I mean, when you revisit these shows as an adult, you start to see them in a whole new light.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, absolutely. And in this second part of our deep dive, the blogger's focusing on Moonlight Mask, or Capitán Centella, as some might know it.
Right. And it's not just about nostalgia, right? The blogger really gets into how our perceptions of these shows, especially the ones we watch as kids, can reveal a lot about ourselves, even about society as a whole.
It's like they're saying, hey, these cartoons weren't just mindless entertainment, they were shaping our worldview, in a way.
Okay, so let's set the scene here.
Okay.
The blogger starts by describing this feeling of unease they had towards Moonlight Mask as a child, almost a sense of fear. And he was the hero, right?
Right, and that's what makes the blogger's approach so intriguing, I think. They're trying to reconstruct that genuine childlike perspective without, imposing adult interpretations.
Yeah.
It's about tapping into those primal feelings we had watching these shows back then.
And one specific detail that really creeped him out as a kid was the villain's name, Lagara de Satan, Satan's Claw.
Oh, wow.
Imagine being a Catholic child in the 80s hearing that.
Yeah, I mean, that's heavy stuff, Especially back then, during the Satanic Panic.
Right.
That imagery must have been so much more terrifying for a child back then.
And then there's the way Moonlight Mask actually fights. He uses this crescent blade, right? And he doesn't just disarm his enemies.
Yeah.
He inflicts visible pain.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty intense for a children's cartoon, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And it ties into that crescent blade we were talking about earlier, right?
Right.
It starts to take on a whole new meaning in this context, I think.
Yeah.
There's a sense of darkness surrounding Moonlight Mask, and the blade becomes a symbol of that almost.
I never thought of it that way. It's almost like he's embracing the darkness to fight it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it makes you question that whole good versus evil dynamic we usually see in these superhero stories, doesn't it?
It really does. The blogger's not saying Moonlight Mask is evil, but they are prompting us to consider the complexities of his methods.
Right.
And the moral gray areas he occupies.
Yeah.
It's not so black and white.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me.
Okay.
The blogger talks about Moonlight Mask's laughter, and they describe it as macabre and completely unsettling.
Oh, wow.
Laughter's usually, associated with good guys, right? With heroes.
Exactly. And that's what makes this observation so insightful.
Yeah.
The blog highlights how this unexpected use of laughter subverts our expectations in a way.
Yeah.
It makes us question everything we thought we knew about heroes and villains, even at a subconscious level.
It makes you wonder, if the creators were intentionally playing with these conventions, challenging young viewers to think critically about what they were watching.
That's a great point. And I think that's what makes this blog so compelling. It's not just about nostalgia. It's about using these shared childhood experiences with shows like Moonlight Mask to examine bigger questions about morality, symbolism, and societal norms.
It's like they're taking something seemingly simple and innocent, like a cartoon, and finding all these hidden depths. And I love that the blogger doesn't just offer their own interpretation.
Yeah.
They actively invite readers to share their own childhood experiences and memories, creating this sense of community and shared exploration. It's like, hey, we all have these formative experiences. Let's revisit them together and see what we can uncover.
Absolutely. It's brilliant, really.
It's incredible how a simple blog post can spark these kinds of thought-provoking conversations.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're trying to do here. Dive deep into these ideas and see where they lead us.
Exactly. And trust me, this is just the beginning.
Oh, I believe it.
There's so much more to unpack about Moonlight Mask and what it tells us about ourselves and the world around us.
Can't wait.
It's like this, when something creeps you out as a kid, but you can't quite put your finger on why?
Oh, yeah, totally.
That's what the blogger's getting at here, I think, with Moonlight Mask.
Yeah, like that feeling of being drawn to something and repelled by it at the same time.
Exactly.
They even talk about asking their older cousin why Moonlight Mask laughs the way he does. Especially, when he's fighting the villains.
Right.
And the cousin just kind of brushed it off.
Yeah.
Said it was just to scare the bad guys.
Right.
But reading the blog, it's like, wait a minute. There's got to be more to it than that.
It's deeper than that.
Yeah.
I think the blogger's picking up on something inherently unsettling about this supposed hero.
Yeah.
It's not just about defeating evil, There's this sense that Moonlight Mask, with that eerie laughter, might actually be, enjoying the pain he's inflicting.
Oh, wow.
As if he, almost likes being feared.
Whoa.
which really blurs those lines between hero and villain.
Right. It's not so clear-cut anymore.
It's not black and white. Exactly.
And maybe that's what the blogger was sensing as a child without even fully understanding it.
Yeah, I think so.
Like our intuition picks up on things that our conscious mind can't quite grasp yet.
Right, exactly. And that's the beauty of revisiting these childhood experiences with a fresh perspective as adults. We can uncover layers of meaning we never even realized were there.
Totally.
And this blog does an incredible job of encouraging us to do just that, not just with Moonlight Mask, but with, all those 80s cartoons we grew up with.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, it's making me rethink everything I thought I knew about these shows. And the blogger makes this point that, these cartoons, even though they often had pretty simplistic narratives, they were actually grappling with some complex ideas about morality and society.
Yeah.
And we as kids, we were absorbing these ideas without even realizing it.
We were sponges just soaking it all up.
Totally. Like, it's almost like the creators were tapping into something deeper, whether they knew it or not.
Yeah.
And now as adults, we can go back and engage with those themes on a whole new level.
Right.
Man, this blog is making me want to rewatch all those old cartoons.
Me too.
It's like there's a whole world of meaning just waiting to be discovered.
I know, right? And, I think that's the magic of it all.
Yeah.
Re-examining things we thought we knew can be incredibly rewarding,
Right.
We bring our own experiences and knowledge to the table, which just enriches the whole viewing experience.
It's true. And it's not a solitary journey either, right? The blogger really emphasizes that.
No, not at all.
They invite readers to share their own experiences and interpretations.
It's like a big conversation.
Yeah, it's like creating a giant Moonlight Mask think tank.
Exactly. I love that it's a collective act of remembering and reinterpreting.
Right.
Instead of passively consuming entertainment, we're actively engaging with it, analyzing it and making it our own. And in doing so, we're also learning more about ourselves and each other.
That's what I love about this whole deep dive experience.
Yeah.
It's taking something familiar, something from our childhoods, and revealing all these new layers of meaning and complexity.
Yeah.
It's like opening a time capsule filled with insights and perspectives we never could have imagined back then. It's like we've gone back to school, but for cartoons.
Yeah, exactly. Cartoon college.
But in a good way. It's not just rewatching. It's like rethinking, rediscovering.
Right. And I really admire the blogger for not shying away from, challenging the conventional wisdom.
Yeah.
They're encouraging us to question these messages we receive from these cartoons, even the ones we loved as kids.
Right. Like, don't just accept things at face value, Think critically about the heroes, the villains, the stories.
The whole shebang.
And that kind of critical thinking is, I think, so important, especially these days.
Oh, absolutely. With all the information overload we face constantly.
Yeah, it's like this blog, in a way, gives you the tools to engage with any media,
Any media, past or present.
So as we wrap up, I got to ask, what's the big takeaway for you from all of this?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's about understanding the power of these childhood experiences, and how they've really shaped our view of the world.
It's like Moonlight Mask might have contributed to how we see good and evil now.
Exactly. Even without us realizing it at the time.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is. It's like holding up a mirror to your younger self.
Yeah.
And, trying to understand how those early influences are still there, resonating within us.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a little something to think about.
Okay.
What childhood cartoon, really resonated with you on a deeper level? And what does that say about your own values, your worldview, even now?
Yeah, what does it say about you? It's a great question to ask yourself.
It is. And, that's all the time we have for today.
Oh.
But hey, we'll be back soon with another deep dive into a fascinating topic.
Always more to explore.
Until then, thanks for joining us. Keep those childhood memories close, and remember to look for those hidden gems in everything you encounter. You never know what you might find.
You never know.